Why it is so hard to give up sugary and processed foods, even though we know they are harmful, but it seems like we cannot stop eating them. Why is that? In this video, I put up together a small explainer video for you. By the end of the video, you will understand the impact of food industry on your dietary habits and struggles. And hopefully, it will release some amount of your shame and blame that you've been putting on yourself. As you will discover, it is not your fault. So enjoy the video.
You've probably spent way too much time being angry at yourself for your eating habits. But today, that anger is going to get a completely different address. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing a total whistle-blowing deep dive into the very foundation of our modern diet. We're going to expose exactly how our food system was systematically rigged against you. Let's get right into it.
So why does stopping after just one bite feel neurologically impossible? I mean, if you've ever opened a bag of chips or a box of cookies thinking, I'm just gonna have one, only to find yourself staring at an empty package 10 minutes later, you know exactly the feeling I'm talking about. And what do? We constantly blame ourselves. We think we lack willpower, we think we're just weak. But honestly, that lack of control you're feeling, it's a completely universal experience. And spoiler alert, it is operating exactly by design.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the real reason you can't stop is that your food was literally engineered to bypass your brain's off switch. There's no other way to say it. And the only reason these highly engineered products make up the bulk of our diets today is because we've been fed a massive, paid-for lie for 3 generations. Your cravings aren't a personal failing, absolutely not. They are the direct result of deliberate industrial manipulation.
Let's look at Section 1, the crime, the lie that shaped us.
Let's rewind a bit back to the early 1960s. The very first serious scientific data was just starting to come out, and it was linking sugar consumption straight to obesity, metabolic disorders, and heart disease. Now, the sugar industry, they saw the writing on the wall. They felt deeply threatened by this, so what did? They took action. In 1967, a group called the Sugar Research Foundation actually paid off some highly respected Harvard scientist a sum of $6,500. To put that into perspective, that's roughly equivalent to 55 grand today. And their job was incredibly straightforward. The sugar industry literally paid them to publish a prestigious review of the science on heart disease with one singular, very specific goal: blame fat and downplay sugar. And they did exactly that. The study gets published in the New England Journal of Medicine, officially concluding that saturated fat was the primary driver of heart disease. Just like that, sugar's role was effectively dismissed, and the whole conflict of interest was completely buried. But here is where it turns into an absolute global tragedy. Because one of those purchased authors, Dr. Mark Hegstead, actually went on to become a senior nutrition advisor to the USDA in the 1980s. And there, he literally wrote the official dietary guidelines that told hundreds of millions of people to reduce fat and just not worry about sugar. This massive secret stayed hidden all the way until 2016, when researchers finally dug up the historical archives and exposed the payoff.
The result of those guidelines completely reshaped the entire global food system. The low-fat campaign practically took over overnight. I'm talking yogurts, salad dressings, granola bars, breakfast cereals, breads, they all went low-fat. But here's the catch. When you take the fat out of food, it basically tastes like cardboard. Something had to replace that missing flavor. So the fat came out, and cheap, scientifically cleared sugar went absolutely pouring in.
Right around the same time, the food industry realized they needed a way to deflect from the obvious fact that their new high-sugar product lines were causing people to pack on weight. So they heavily promoted a highly convenient myth. You've heard it a million times. A calorie is a calorie. Just move more and eat less. This framing was brilliantly insidious for them. It completely manufactured the myth of personal responsibility, placing all the blame squarely on you, the consumer, all while ensuring no one looked too closely at the actual products themselves.
But a tightly controlled 2019 NIH study proved this myth completely false. Dr. Kevin Hall fed people 2 diets, one ultra-processed and one unprocessed. Now, both diets had the exact same available calories, protein, fat, and carbs. They were literally identical on paper. Yet, on the ultra-processed diet, people unknowingly ate 500 more calories a day and gained weight. Meanwhile, on the unprocessed diet, they naturally ate less and lost weight. And this brilliantly illustrates our point. A calorie is not just a calorie. The actual food matrix dictates exactly what your body does with it.
Moving on to Section 2, the weapon, engineering the Bliss Point. To effectively conquer our plates, the industry created a weapon that we simply cannot resist. It centers around a wild concept called the Bliss Point. Now, this wasn't discovered by a 5-star chef in a kitchen. So the crucial point is, it was actually discovered in the 1950s by a psychophysicist named Howard Moskowitz. He was just trying to figure out how to get soldiers to eat more military rations. And what he found was the exact mathematical ratio of sugar, fat, and salt that hits all your taste receptors at once, triggering an absolute massive dopamine rush.
That single discovery laid the groundwork for the entire ultra-processed food industry. Today, food scientists optimize literally everything. Think about it. McDonald's buns are specifically engineered to be slightly sweet. Fries have a very specific, carefully calculated salt-to-fat ratio. Even the crunch of a potato chip is acoustically amplified. They add MSG just to extend that lingering flavor experience on your tongue. Every single element is precisely calibrated for the exact moment you put it down, just to ensure your brain immediately screams out for another bite.
All right, Section 3, the mechanism, what refinement actually is.
So how exactly does all this trick our biology? Why does this highly engineered food hit the brain so incredibly differently from real food? Well, it starts with understanding natural design. You see, in nature, carbohydrates are never ever isolated. If you eat a piece of fruit, sure, you're getting sugar, but it's safely packaged within a complex structure of fiber, water, and vitamins. That physical structure acts as a built-in biological brake. Your digestion is slow, the glucose enters your bloodstream nice and gradually, and your brain receives a measured, completely reasonable signal telling you you're full.
Now, refinement is the literal destruction of that natural package. Imagine you take a grain of wheat. You systematically strip away the fiber, then you strip the bran, then you strip the nutrients. What you're left with is just pure, naked starch. With all those natural structural breaks entirely gone, that starch converts to glucose almost instantly upon contact inside your body. Your blood sugar spikes violently, your insulin spikes right after to try and catch it, and then boom, it crashes, which inevitably triggers intense hunger all over again within an hour.
When you start combining refined sugar, refined white flour, refined fats, and a bunch of artificial flavors, you really aren't even eating food anymore. You're basically consuming a very powerful stimulant. It gives your stomach physical volume, sure. It gives your brain's reward center a massive dopamine hit, absolutely. But it provides zero actual nutritional signaling to your body. Your body literally doesn't even register that it's been fed.
Which brings us to Section 4, the verdict. It is not your fault.
Hearing all of this, actually understanding the millions of dollars and decades of hard science dedicated just to tricking your biology, it brings us to a really important verdict, and I want you to truly take this in. The difficulty you've had stopping, the intense cravings, the constant guilt, none of it is your personal pathology. As this quote perfectly summarizes, you are not weak in a neutral environment. You are a normal human being in an environment that was engineered to exploit normal human biology. Seriously, knowing this changes absolutely everything. You can finally stop fighting yourself and feeling guilty. Instead, you can start recognizing the system for exactly what it is and start smartly designing your habits around it.
Now for Section 5, next steps, exposing the system in your pantry.
So how do we actually start designing around this rigged system? Well, we start by exposing it right where it lives today, in your own home. I've got a little practical homework assignment for you. After this, I want you to go to your kitchen and just audit the labels on 5 random packaged items. When you look at those ingredient lists, you really have to play detective because the food industry hides sugar behind more than 60 different aliases. Keep an eye out for names like high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, maltodextrin, fruit juice concentrate, or malt syrup. I guarantee you'll be shocked at where you find them. They are deliberately concealed in things you wouldn't even consider sweet in a million years, like savory crackers, cured meats, and everyday pasta sauces.
And here's the real key to reading those labels. What's really interesting about this slide is understanding that ingredients are legally required to be listed by weight, right? From heaviest to lightest. So if any of those sneaky hidden names for sugar show up in the first 3 ingredients, sugar is a primary component of that product. It doesn't matter what the front of the box boldly claims about being wholesome or 100% natural, you are essentially just holding a dessert.
Ultimately, when you're looking at that packaged item, heavily laced with hidden refined sugars and carefully engineered bliss points, you have to remember this stark reality. This is not food. This is a neurochemical delivery system wearing food's packaging. It is a product perfectly designed for endless consumption and corporate profit, not for genuine human nourishment.
Which leaves us right here. The truth is finally out. The history of industry bribery is totally clear, the biological manipulation is completely undeniable, and the myth of personal failure, that is officially busted.
Now that you know exactly how the system works and exactly how it was designed from the ground up to exploit you, I have to ask, what's hiding in your pantry right now? Go do some digging, find out for yourself, and I'll see you in our next explainer, where we dive into exactly what this system does to your physical body.